Get on the train before it leaves the station. The truth train is coming, gonna run them down, run them down.
Hello there, folks. How you doing? So today I wanted to get on, a little bit and talk a little bit about, Brendan. Some of you may heard the news that, Governor Evers and the the parole board granted, another 9 pardons essentially, and so, but none of them were Brendan, and so I wanted to talk about this. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that Brendan's not getting the consideration, but once again, I would point out that these are pardons that are being processed and suggested to Governor Evers by the parole board, by the board that's set up to look at them. The folks that they, put it this way, they can only suggest parole or clemency of any kind for certain types of, past offenders. So, if your crime involves violence or sexual, sexual crime or murder, those sort of things, the parole board can't really even look at those. They're pretty much barred from being considered by the board that's, made by the governor to look into these things. So with those certain crimes, it precludes you. So we all know that Brendan was convicted of murder, right? We obviously know he didn't do it. We obviously know his confession was coerced, but he was convicted of the crime of murder. And that, therefore, means he can't be considered by that board. But because Brendan's lawyers have directly petitioned the governor for executive clemency directly, and there hasn't been a decision saying no, that means it is being considered, at least for the time being, right? So I just thought I'd talk about that, because obviously if you look at, I saw in the article that they talked about 2 of the people that were granted pardons in this last 9, and one of them was a guy. He was 36 years old, but when he was 22, he got popped for having some marijuana and a concealed weapon. And obviously he probably did a couple years. I don't know. I don't know. They're pretty serious about marijuana there. So he may have gotten maybe some more serious time for that. But he obviously did some time. And obviously while Scott Walker was in, he couldn't do anything because Scott Walker had dismantled that board. But he kept his nose clean. He stayed out of trouble. He didn't, offend again or anything like that, and petitioned to have, to be pardoned so that he could then pursue certain things that he's barred from pursuing as a former convict. So they've had to wait a long time, probably longer than they should have, because obviously Scott Walker just dismantled that entire process when he was in there. So, the point is, though, is that Brendan's case is unique in the sense that it's his lawyers are petitioning Governor Evers directly, and there's a couple of issues with that, and I think I should, just go over it again. I know many of you may know what I'm about to say, but just for some who maybe missed it or weren't quite sure, is that it's a tricky situation. Obviously, we know that Brendan's case is a fairly compelling case. Most people watch that interrogation and just go, what the hell is happening here? What's going on? People are beside themselves when they watch what those investigators do to Brendan. And, and a lot of people are particularly disturbed when they begin to touch him. I agree, because that also does bother me when they start touching him and stuff. It's just like prodding him. Do what we want. Do what we want. You're okay. You're okay. That's what it's essentially trying to convey. And everything about that interrogation is dirty, tainted, not, can't put any stock in it, because none of the things were suggested by Brendan before investigators suggested it to him. In other words, none of it came from Brendan. It all came from the investigators. And how can it be a confession when that's the case? You know? So, but obviously, because Brendan's case has such strong merit, really, that it is such a ridiculous case, and there are so many, very, very well established and well known figures in the legal community who are stepping forward to talk about it and offer their opinions and write letters and things like that. That there's so much of that happening with Brendan's case. It's not going to be unnoticed. But governors don't usually exercise this option. They don't. And the reason why is because for them to do something like this, to pardon somebody who's actually in prison for a violent crime like murder, it's no matter what, the governor is going to see it as a risk. It's a risk. And he, even though he will probably be like most of us and realize, oh yeah, this kid wouldn't hurt a fly. You know what I mean? And he may pick up on that. But just to let people know, the initial hump that you have to get over is that you have to somehow decrease the governor's amount of apprehension, that if he was to grant you a pardon, that you aren't going to just go reoffend and do something really stupid and make him look like an idiot. Okay? Because that, trust me, is going to be the first thought on their mind. Because they want to get reelected. They want to do good things and all that sort of stuff. So playing games with pardoning prisoners and stuff, sometimes they just stay out of it completely because they feel it's too much of a risk. So that's the initial hump to get over. But I think with Brendan's case, there's a good chance. So it's just, to be honest though, and to be completely honest, it doesn't happen though a lot. And certainly not in Wisconsin. Not a lot of prisoners have been pardoned while still serving time in Wisconsin by an executive pardon and by the governor. It just hasn't happened very much. So there's a lot of factors involved. Do I hope Brendan will get released and get out of prison because he doesn't belong there? Absolutely, I do. But I acknowledge the fact that it's not something that happens a lot. So it's not just a foregone, slam dunk. It certainly isn't that. And we just got to hope that Governor Evers is going to see the merits in this case. And that he's going to send a message, hopefully, to the 7th Circuit, majority judges, to the courts there in Wisconsin. Look, cut this crap with kids. I don't want to, sending a message of, we don't want to see this. We don't want to see our law enforcement, the people that we trust to keep us safe, doing this to children in our state. That's the message that needs to be sent. I hope Governor Evers chooses to send it. So that's about it. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the new pardons, talk a little bit about Brendan, and obviously cover a little bit, the process of what the factors are and what we're looking at and what Governor Evers is going to be considering as he makes a decision on this. Remember, folks, be classy, because that's something we want Governor Evers to see from Brendan Dassey supporters. We want him to see a bunch of classy folks who want to see an injustice set right. And so keep it classy, folks. That's one of my big mottos here on my channel. So get out there and show your class. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And we'll see you.